Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, dear Berlin NFT community. Welcome to our panel about the indispensable role of community for the NFT projects. So before we dive in, it would be interesting to know how the energy level is in the room after the Katia party yesterday, opening ceremony. So maybe from 0 to 10, how's the energy level in the room? Well, obviously we are
seeing a lot of zeros.
Yeah, 0? Who's 0? Phil? 5? Okay. Well, we hope we can bring it up. So today I'm here with my 3 friends. We are super happy to dive into this topic. And so I would like to introduce the panelists. So we have Emily, who is a DAO tooling expert and the founder of Otterspace, a Web3 startup here in Berlin. We have Sam, who is a very talented NFT artist based in Berlin, Kreuzberg. And we have my dear friend Raffaela, who is an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, NFT collector, member of Proof Collective, and founder of Nifty Nuggets, which she will tell us about later. My name is Katia. I'm a co-founder of Beyond. Beyond is a community tech startup, and we give community managers superpowers in Web3 to have insights into what's happening in their communities and to create token-gated experiences for their community members. So what is all the fuss about the community? Well, as we all know, community is a core for everything in Web3. So it's the new discovery layer, it's the new social, and it's the backbone for every successful NFT project. There is a statistics that 73% of all community users, of all internet users, are members of at least one internet community. So it's a lot. And would like to explore community building and the secret of successful community building for NFT projects today with the ladies. So let's maybe dive into the topic. Tell us a bit the communities you're part of or you're building. Tell us a bit about yourself. And let's take it from here.
Sure, I guess I can start there. Hey everyone, I'm Emily. As Katia mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of Otterspace, which is a tool that helps DAOs better engage their communities. But I'm also a DAO contributor and have been since last year. The communities that I've been part of are Bankless, Shark DAO, and Cabin DAO. And for the last 2 months, I was the community lead at at Shark DAO. Shark DAO is a noun collector DAO, so we collect nouns from the Nouns Project, and we submit proposals to the Nouns Project through the DAO, and build media experiences around the Nouns universe as well. So I'm sure we'll be able to talk more about that later. I'll hand over to Sam.
Okay, I'm just checking if the mic is working. Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Sam. So excited to be here, and thank you to all my friends sprinkled around for waking up and coming to see this. Very nice. And thank you so much for having me and all of these ladies on the panel today. So my name's Sam. I'm a digital artist. I do like 3D animation, all kinds of stuff. And last year, I did like 3 NFT drops with Nifty Gateway, which is owned by Gemini. And it was like really popping off last year. I think the NFT space changes every month. But last year, it was like crazy Wall Street, like Wolf of Wall Street vibes. And everyone was like, buy, sell, buy, sell. So it was like very extra. But this year it's like super different, and it's more about like DAOs, more about PFPs. So I think the space changes. It's a very fast-moving space. But I do think it's important to, build a community, because the people that you kind of meet online and offline are really what keep you grounded as you make your way through the space, because it's very turbulent. Like, everything's like at a low right now, so everyone's like, going back to working at McDonald's or whatever. So
now it's more of a support group, like group therapy sessions.
Totally, like the people, like I met
community pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I met you at the Bright Moments party, so like
That's right.
yeah, so just like people you meet offline and online are like that's your community, and that's what kind of makes the way for you, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, hi, my name is Raffaela. Good on you for all waking up, especially those with the zero energy in the room. Thanks for being here. And yeah, so I've had an interesting journey into NFTs because last year, when I first heard about it, I did not get it. I was like, why on earth would you want to own this JPEG and pay so much money for it? But I think especially this year, we've seen this move towards real utility, right, and real community. Maybe that was there last year, but like, I'm basically in some of the best online communities I have ever seen in my life in the NFT space, where there's people I talk to every day and I've never even met them in real life. I don't know how they look like in real life, and yet I so value their opinion. I get advice from them on my life, big career decisions. And had you asked me that like a year or 2 years ago, I would have said, no, why would I take, you know, career advice from some stranger on the internet? And I think that's really the power of NFT communities, that for the first time it just really makes sense to, yeah, and you have so much in common with people that you maybe never met. So my favorite community is Proof. It is a collector DAO run by Kevin Rose, who is a very famous tech person, and we're 1,000 collectors collecting everything from PFPs, not just PFPs, everything really. There's also a lot of artists that are actually part of Proofs, that are part of our community. Proof, for example, also launches their own NFTs, such as Moonbirds. That's the most famous one. And yeah, I'm part of. Sorry. Okay, I'm talking too long. Okay.
No, that's fine. That's a panel. So, but yes, so talking of moonbirds, yesterday I met a moonbird holder. I think he's not here, but I immediately thought of you, that I have to present you. And it's funny, I also love your pivot from the DeFi queen to NFTs in such a short period of time. But let's get more practical. So we want to get our hands dirty. So you all have your own communities, or you used to run communities, and you're building one for your startup. You used to run communities for the Shark DAO and the others. You have your own community. We were talking about that. You're an artist. That's like the foundation, right, for people who are with you, who are buying your art, who are fans. And Rafa started your own collectors, NFT collectors group. So how do you start? So if I'm sitting here and I want to start an NFT community, so what are the first steps? What should I do? What should I start with? Like, should I create a Discord? Should I have a Telegram group? Should I call my friends and invite them for coffee? Like, where to start? Like, what are like the ABC?
So I think there's two ways to approach it. There's online and offline. So for me, I started doing all this during the pandemic. And obviously online was the only way to do that then. And that was when NFTs just kind of exploded. So I was just, sitting at home, and then I was on Discord, and things were going really crazy on Discord, and I just didn't know what was happening. And it's really scary to even make that first step, like even to say hi in the chat room, because it's like everyone already knows each other and they're all just going crazy in there. But I think that once you just take that first step and like just start meeting people online and stuff, then you can just like, network a little. And then that's how I met my Discord moderator, like on that chat room. And then he like made the Discord for me, and then a bunch of people joined. So that's kind of how I started that. But I think, if that's not really your vibe, like what you can also do is in your city, you can go to events, and then you can meet people, and then that can be a way for you to build yourself as well. Like, especially in Berlin, the NFT community is really big and really strong. So a way to do that would just be go to the events, go to the meetups, and then meet people, and they can help you get started. Like, people are very welcoming and actually really nice. So yeah.
So start with a personal connection. Establish a personal connection online and offline, if it's possible. Would you agree, ladies? Emily, Rafa?
Yeah, I love that organic approach. My answer was going to be on the other end of the spectrum, which I don't
Which is
mean that
perfect.
yours is wrong in any way, but I would approach it by thinking about who your community is for. What is the value that you want them to get from your community? And what's the identity that you want your community to have? So thinking through, what does your community stand for? What value does it bring to people? And who is it for? And I think that's a really solid starting point to then build on and actually bring people in and have something to offer them to join.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I would have said as well, to think like, why should people join this community? What will they have in common? Because if people have nothing in common in the community, no common goal that they want to achieve or a common interest, then it will probably not be, it will probably fail as a community.
I agree. And so let's imagine, okay, you've done the first step, so maybe you wrote down like the mission, the vision, the common purpose, their like strategy, how to get people on board, what they should have in common, or you maybe did like a freestyle way, some would do, just try to find common ground with people on Discord or at the IRL meetups. I would probably be somewhere in between, the two versions. So how would you measure success of your community? Does it have to grow as crazy, or how would you define a successful community? And how much time would you give a community to flourish and to develop?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, but I think it connects back to the first question, which is, what is your community for? If you have a clear value that you want your community to give to people, so that could be from, within SharkDAO, we've got several different almost segments that within our community. So we have the sort of alpha degens, which hang out in their channels and share alpha, and like that's the value that we give them. So I would measure the success for, how well we serve that aspect of the community by looking at whether, they get that value that they came for. And then there's other folks that actually just want to build and be contributors and, create media. We recently created a comic at SharkDAO. And so, measuring the success in that front would be looking at how many contributors we're getting, and are they sticking around as contributors? Are they finding, the kind of building that they want to? So I would connect everything back to the value of the community.
And the productive output, like the real tangible results. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe it's quality over quantity. So, there's some communities that have, hundreds, thousands of people, and it's not valuable at all because there's too much noise. So I actually prefer smaller communities where you have more high caliber or more interested people that actually want to add value. So as Katia mentioned, I have my own collectors community called Nifty Nuggets with 50 people, and I'm actually quite careful that, for example, we have an application process, and I only, bring people in who I feel they're serious, and they don't have to have made millions or something, but I want them to be serious about NFTs and, not just be there and never interact. So basically, for me personally, value is more by having active and interested participants that want to add value to the community.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm at this point in my life where I just have like 50 Discords and everything is going crazy, so I just like feel very overwhelmed by that. But yeah, definitely, I think it's good to curate your communities that you're part of because they do take energy from you, and it's like, if you have like 50,000 notifications, it's like, oh my God, like I can't manage this, but exactly.
Yeah, so you have to give some energy and you get it back. And it has to be in balance. Yeah, and it's better to have like 50 community with 50 engaged members than like 50,000 that are just like GMing on Discord all the time and nothing else happens. And talking about the engaged community, how do you find a balance between the community taking over and having their own initiatives and contributing, suggesting ideas, kind of, when it has its own dynamic, versus the initiator or the core team dictating a bit what is supposed to happen, or like initiating stuff. Like what would you say when what's like the perfect flow?
So I'm just speaking from an artist perspective, but like so the most successful NFT artists that have dropped on Nifty Gateway, for example, like all their discords are very heavily community run. Like the artist is actually just stepping in and out just to make a celebrity appearance. But the Discord is like aggressively run by the buyers, the collectors, the fans. Like they're the ones who are actually setting up weekly events, like discussions. They're the ones like posting about when a drop is going to be. So that's like a really important aspect. And also they're the ones that kind of keep the Discord alive and the conversation going. And that's actually kind of the hallmark of a healthy Discord, is when it's active, you know. So mine, for example, is kind of not active right now, but I have like these 3 guys who just like are like GM every day, because like they're just like, we're still here, but yeah, it's like really funny.
Too many IRL parties in Berlin happening right
Yeah,
now,
I'm
so
really,
Discord has been neglected.
I love Berlin. I'm just having too much fun offline, so.
Okay.
What was the question again?
So the question was, so there is a core team or the initiators,
yes,
and I mean, at the beginning, they, you know, they like start like the whole conversation, all the initiatives in the community, but then at some point the community takes over and it has its own dynamic.
Right.
So when does it happen? How do you let go, like as a core team? And
I mean, I'm from the DAO world, so I truly believe that communities can and should be, you know, self-governing and self-run, and that there shouldn't be a leader, or if there is a leader, then it's an elected role, right? That, you know, rotates out. Yeah, I think it's really important, and if you're setting up a new community, I think you need to think about incentives and frameworks. So things like governance. How do you actually set things up so that the community can self-govern? How do you set the right incentives? How do you reward contributors? At Otterspace, we're building a tool that allows you to reward people with non-financial rewards as well, which I think we'll be seeing a lot more with DAOs in the next years. So yeah, I think it's really important to set the foundations, and then kind of take a step back and create the space for people to build the community for what they want as well. There's some great examples from the Nouns ecosystem. Some folks at Shark DAO made a proposal to Nouns DAO to build something called FOMO Nouns, which is a tool that allows people to vote on the next noun. So I don't know how much you all know about nouns, but the Nouns Project auctions off a new noun every day. So they made a proposal to build, they wanted this tool where they could see what the next noun would be, and then somehow have community involvement in like voting, and then you have 6 seconds to vote before the next block gets decided. And that got passed, and I think that's a great example, you know, of nouns fostering the community to actually build things for the community and build more engagement, and actually, you know, have people be involved in this auction process. So that would be my example.
So to be honest, I'm not in any community that is completely self-governed, or at least not any good one. So all of the good ones, they do have mods, for example, moderators that ensure, for example, that people that don't bring value or that bring a lot of negativity get put in their place, that I think happens, or that, people aren't spammy. So I do think the role of moderators is incredibly important. And one community I'm part of, Popcorn, they basically gave people in the community the chance to become sort of mini moderators. That was called pop stars. So people in the community could apply to become pop stars, and with that they were given sort of the power to answer questions in the community and so on. And that worked, and it is still working really well. And so Popcorn basically has this arm of people really excited about what Popcorn is doing and helping out with questions and so on. But again, you know, that was instigated by the team itself to ensure they have a lot of people there to answer questions.
Yeah, exactly. I also think there has to be an initiator, right, for like any project or like a core group, like a little like family that sets it up. And then I think that's for me like the holy grail. Like, how do you, like, when should you kind of hand over to the community, but still like being in the background, maybe set the tone or or just, implement these initiatives where people could become active and take over. So when is this moment in time, and also how do you identify these core contributors that are also right for for your initial idea, for the baby you created? Of course you want it to become independent and take its own kind of turn, but I think this is the $1 million question, who are the right people, and when and how to empower them.
Yeah, I think coming back to what I said earlier, I don't think communities necessarily shouldn't have structure or shouldn't have roles. I guess I think that the founders shouldn't perpetually be in the role of leader. So I think some of the great DAOs that I've seen functioning really well, they do have roles and they do have leadership and people that take accountability for things. But those people come into those roles, by a governance process. And come from the community, and it's not like the founders are perpetually having to set up every initiative or having to choose the moderators. You can create a system of how do the moderators get elected and replaced, and once you set that up, you don't need to, as the founder of the community, be the person that chooses the moderators every few months.
You just watch from the sidelines. And
in the ideal case, yeah. Of course, it's not always that easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all theory, but in the perfect world, so you watch from the sidelines and ideally it develops into the right direction for you. I mean, into a surprising one probably, but into the positive one. Interesting. And by the way, we would love also to open up this discussion to the audience. We would love you to participate, especially the ones with the 10 or 5 energy level, but also the ones with 0. We encourage you to think about the questions as well, and please join our discussion. I think for me, maybe another interesting question would be, in the NFT community, it's a truly global community, so I mean, it's this whole explosion happened during the pandemic, but now we're coming back to offline events as well. So maybe another question, to Sam, how do you see the balance between IRL events and then the community dynamic on the internet?
I'm sorry, what was
the question is the dynamic. So you have your core community in the internet, your buyers, your fans, and then the IRL events somewhere. So how does it overlap? Or are they the two different worlds? Or?
For me personally, my situation is kind of messy because most of my audience is based in the US and India. But then in Berlin, I'm kind of new and just exploring the creative community. So it's no one knows me here, so I'm slowly making my way. But online, it's people are just everywhere. So it's very I don't know, it's super random. But whenever I meet someone from online in real life, it feels really natural and it's good, but I definitely think that it's good to just have some kind of online presence because that is it's kind of limitless and it gives you opportunities in so many places, irrespective of geographical boundaries and stuff. If you have someone who's buying your work in Japan, you can always go there and be hey, can I show my NFTs in a gallery here? So that's kind of how you do it. But did that answer the question at all?
Yeah,
or?
So if there was a community initiative, for example, to make a pop-up exhibition of your art in India, great, you would go and meet them also in person if you could.
Yeah, it's just you either talk to a friend who has a gallery, or you talk to a buyer, and then someone knows someone, and then it's really a collaborative effort, and then you put something together. So yeah.
What about the Proof Collective and Nifty Nugget meetups?
So I do think the community needs to have a purpose online and needs to be good just online, and give a lot of value. But then it's nice to have in real life as an added bonus. And yeah, with Proof, we do meet regular, there are in real life events regularly, especially around conferences, and it's super nice to meet the people. But I get even more every day from the Discord, and so I'm a big believer in make sure that it's good as a community itself, digitally, and then the real life is just sort of the cherry at the top.
It's a small add-on.
Yeah, I'm also a member of Cabin DAO, as I mentioned earlier. If you haven't heard of Cabin DAO, it's very, very much focused on IRL experiences. So Cabin DAO is building a decentralized city. So the idea is that there are nodes in different locations, and the community sort of exists across all of these nodes, and in the metaverse, I suppose. But it's very much focused on actually creating IRL experiences. I recently went out to Texas to a retreat organized by Cabin DAO, and it really reminded me of actually the value of connecting in real life and building communities that have a very strong sense of belonging, and I think that often comes from spending time with people in real life. So yeah, I'm a big believer of that, of combining the two.
So maybe not the geographical one, but definitely like the shared interest and purpose. And speaking about creating unique experiences for community members online, could you think of some examples of something that really like blew up your mind that you've seen there? Maybe it's like valuable for other community builders or other NFT projects. So what could you give to your community members online that like just the NFT holders could access, for example, something like wow?
Yeah, for example, with Proof, they launched the Moonbirds, and if you have a certain kind of Moonbird, you, for example, get access to a Tesla, a tour in the Tesla factory or something. So I think that's quite cool. Or I also
heard an offline tour.
Yeah, an offline tour, exactly. Or I heard they're flying in a super famous musician for NFT NYC. It's not announced who it is yet, but like that's obviously quite cool as well.
So it ties back to real life, okay. Online experiences.
I'm so sorry, what was the question again? I'm just like blanked out.
Yeah, so special experiences
absolutely.
For NFT holders, for example, for your community members.
So for me, so I don't drop PFPs, like I drop artworks with 33 editions or 66 editions, like edition numbers. So for example, if in one collection there's 5 pieces, I tell the buyers, okay, so if you buy one from each piece, like you get a limited edition artwork, or if you like buy 2 and then burn them, then you get the 3rd one. Like it's all about kind of creating like a mechanism where like a point system even. I even did a point system where it's like each NFT of mine that you buy can be redeemed for points. And then, so if you collect like 3,000 points, you have access to an unreleased artwork that no one else has. So it's kind of like, when you go to the arcade and you get tickets and then you get a teddy bear. But yeah, I think it's really about like making a system for your buyers to like redeem things and also collect pieces that can appreciate or have a better chance of appreciating.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think that gamified experiences are a really interesting area that I've seen a lot of DAOs play around with to drive engagement. So again, points, levels, creating sort of quests for people. That's something that we're also supporting DAOs with at Otterspace, and we see a lot of the DAOs we work with kind of tending towards this model. And yeah, I think creating rituals is also important. So focusing on a weekly meeting that everyone knows is on the calendar, and I think that can also drive a lot of engagement in digital experiences. But now that we're all coming back into the real world, I think people are really craving IRL experiences more than no one wants to like watch another concert on Zoom. I think we're done with that.
So ideally, it should be like a combination of gamification, arcade, and IRL experiences. So maybe like some treasure hunt online. That.
Speaking of treasure hunts, actually, I have a great story. So Cabin DAO is actually running a treasure hunt. So they have there is a wallet, private public key address etched into a piece of metal in a treasure chest buried somewhere in Texas, and you can buy an NFT to get the first clue. And only one person knows where it's buried, and whoever finds it and actually finds the physical treasure chest gets what's inside it, which is a bunch of NFTs and other random stuff. But the amazing thing is that because he made
Pandora's box. in a good sense.
Yeah, and he made the public address public, so people have actually been airdropping stuff into it just for fun. Like when they have a project, they just like drop one NFT in the treasure chest. So you can find it on the Mirror. There's a Mirror post that they posted about the treasure hunt. If you're interested in joining, there's still spots available. Yeah, speaking of games and treasure hunts.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's very impressive. It's also interesting, the contrast. So if we were to think about community as maybe like also the new marketing for the NFT projects, kind of, it's not the replacement, but I mean, it does go into the same direction. It's very different. It's like traditional like Web2 marketing, which is all about reach. And something like that is like super niche for really like core community, like people who are super engaged, who are willing to buy NFTs, like install wallets, solve the clues, fly to Texas, go and dig under the tree, to find what is it? Is it a stick? Is it a card with a code?
It's an actual treasure chest. It is.
Okay.
It's a wooden chest with a piece of metal inside.
Wow. So I think this is like speaking about like true fans. Mm-hmm.
Do you actually have to go to Texas and find it somewhere in the desert? Or?
You do, but there are sort of alliances forming. You can join a squad if you want. There are some treasure hunting squads, and then one person might be in Texas, and the idea is that you split the winnings.
There should be like 1 Bitcoin in the treasure, or like 10 Bitcoins.
Yeah, let's make it 100.
Yeah, if anyone wants to drop some stuff in there, the address is public. If you got some spare Bitcoins lying around.
Okay, so maybe NFT New York, it just became like, maybe we should stay longer, no? And do like a little trip to Texas.
Sounds like a good idea. That treasure sounds very interesting, for sure.
Perfect. Okay, there is the first question in the audience. I'm
wondering what you think your example of the best use of community building around an artist project that you would see, because I feel like it's different if, like, Sam, you mentioned that artist discords that are really strong, the artist just like pops in, and I'm an artist and I understand why that's necessary, because it's really like a full-time job to be building the community, and as an artist you want to focus on what you're producing and like the release of your work and the narrative and the story. So I feel like, have you seen artists that don't have huge studios, that don't have teams that can run an active Discord, building a community in a more organic way? Because I think sometimes communities around artists, they might not have anything else in common in their lives other than the fact that they just like that artist's work, and that becomes a kind of link. But I also feel like it can happen organically, but then I understand there's also a role for efforts in like building a community and fostering more interest. But I feel like it's a fine, weird line. So I'm curious if you've seen smaller scale artists and what community means around an artist's work.
Yeah, so I mean, the best examples of artists like running a great Discord I've seen are like they're big artists, or they do have like the advantage of scale or like bigger communities. But I do think if you're starting out or if you're smaller, I think actually offline would be a better approach, to actually just go out to the events and the parties and the hangouts and meet people, and then join their Discords, and then kind of build your own vibe from that. Because it's like, I think having a Discord and having a community, it is a full-time job, and I think it's important to like scope out who you even want in that community, if you're starting out in that way. For me, I don't know, I just did it, freestyle, like guerrilla style. I was just like, okay, everyone join. But it's not always the best approach. But yeah, I don't know, I think there's many ways to approach it. I mean, I'm gonna quote Fakrander because he's one of the biggest artists, but I actually really like the way he runs his Discord. Like, it's not like spammy, and like the community is very active in building everything, and he's pretty active in it as well. And I think it's, I think that is kind of the end goal, to like have a thriving Discord. So like, I think it's okay to like also reference people that you want to emulate, and then kind of make your way towards that. Does that help at all, or?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good question, especially when you don't have a huge team, right? And I actually see a lot of artists that do not have a Discord simply because it is so much work. But I think as an artist, especially as an inspiring one, you also always have to think about your brand, right? You will have to generate followers and people who, you know, who can see your message when you drop something new, and basically to think, okay, what is the right platform for that? Is it Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, Telegram? But Discord is probably definitely the most difficult to manage. So I think even a newsletter could be something, for example, that I personally like, because I normally go only now in my favorite Discords every day. Other Discords I don't even see. So I think, for example, I like when artists have a newsletter that I hear when things drop, because I wouldn't otherwise see it, because say if they don't have tens of thousands of Twitter followers, I wouldn't see it on Twitter either, right? So I think, for example, a newsletter is a good way to get people that are interested in your work and be able to reach out to those people as and when new things come. And that's much more easy to manage as a team of one than many other communities.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. The newsletter is back. Like just like QR codes are back, the newsletter is so back, and it's actually so sick because it's so personal, it's so cute. Like, I mean, people say Twitter is like the main party floor of NFTs, and Discord is the smoking lounge, because it's like, I don't know, shady, but yeah, but like honestly, Discord is like, you don't even really need it. I mean, honestly, like Twitter is kind of the big thing for NFTs, and I'm not even that active on Twitter. I get really overwhelmed by it, but like definitely like going out, meeting people, and then connecting with them, and then sending them your newsletter, like collectors, like gallery owners, like, you know, other artists, like that's a really nice way to do it. Like, especially if you're also new media, suppose you just learn how to make face filters and you want to let people know, like you can send a newsletter like, oh, I can make face filters now, so something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that answer, because I think it also comes back to that question of who is the community for and what do they get from it. And if the idea is just that people who are into your work need a place to come to find out about what's new with you, then a newsletter is a great way to achieve that. And you know, Discord is probably too much for what you need and for what they need as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but Discord can also be really misogynistic sometimes. It's just like kind of a bro fest, and everyone's like, oh, look at my car, you know? So it's like sometimes you don't really need it. So
I actually really like that about Discord, so because obviously, you know, I have a PFP, so people don't know I'm a woman, and everybody bros me. They're like, hey, bro, what you up to, bro? And I love it. I think it's so cool, because no one in real life would do that to me.
Maybe what I lost my voice and my mic. Maybe what I would add. So at another NFT conference, I went to talk by Kevin Aber, like famous artist, and so he combined both. He combined Sam's approach, meeting people IRL. He already had the community like from the galleries, and then so he does have a Discord as well, and it's not overwhelming. Like people do not text there every second, but so he combines both worlds and probably newsletter as well. So.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to point out, actually I'm helping an artist friend of mine right now. The way we kind of build his community or his fans is by gifting his first Genesis NFT through in real life experience, and also to strong communities like CryptoPunks, CyberConks. That's kind of my strategy for him. And also, if you would like some free NFTs from the artists, come back later to me. Yeah, that's just wanted to add to your point.
People like free stuff.
But I think also it's an interesting angle to tap into other NFT communities and kind of foster cooperations or look for synergies. Yes, go ahead.
So first, I just want to sort of congratulate you, because I know it's a sort of man's world out there. Even our community manager is like, yeah, they call us sir, and it's, you know, confusing. I know there's a sort of difference between the 10,000 collections and the ones that you have for specific artists. I'm just wondering, from your perspective, what is one thing for each of you that brings the most value from Discords, because we all know we are in 1,000 Discords, and it's super hard to put into words the feeling and the vibe of a certain community. But I want to think about and tell us, what is the most important aspect that you get from a certain community that you don't find anywhere else?
Well, for me, it's because I'm a collector, so I want to find about good things early. And so that's why for me, the communities that can provide those two things for me are the best.
Ooh, I need to think about this one. So,
Yeah, I think for me it's like a sense of belonging and being around people that have a similar mindset and values. I think that's what I look for in the communities I'm part of.
okay. Yeah, I think it's, I really like finding interesting work. So I like being in artist discords where there's other artists and then we're all sharing work as well. Yeah, so I'm more interested in the quality of the work these days as well. So that's what I like.
I think we had really interesting takes. For me, as a startup founder, it's learning new things and being able to reach out to someone like just directly. It's like a chat, like ICQ back in the 90s. I love it. There is no barrier, so you can tap into like someone's brain and become friends online. So thank you so much. Thanks for interesting questions and input. Thanks for coming. It's the second day. We appreciate it. It's a bit early for Berlin. And we hope you learned some hacks around community building. And let's chat outside and let's grab a coffee.